Okay, ready?
Yeah. We're going to give you some advice that might not be the humdrum regular advice. Like, we didn't want to talk about don't go to bed angry, respect each other, stuff like that. We want to talk about things that people don't want to hear.
Hooked me up one summer night. I was flying sky high. You would always take me out. Oh, now when all those magic nights are passing, it's autumn time.
My name is Dr. John Lucio. I practice integrative medicine and pain management in Jeff City, Missouri. And this is my wife.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Sue. I practice conventional gynecology, integrative medicine, sexual health for both men and women. And we are so happy to join you on Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
We had a good Valentine's Day. We got to spend the whole day together, except for when I taught dance. And I'm subbing for Jen, so I got to teach belly dance today, which was really fun.
It's fun to watch.
It is. He's in love with Shakira. Big #1 fan. And this is our own opinions. You can take it for what it is. In my experience of 22 years of gynecology practice, is it 22 years?
Yeah, and obstetrics.
Oh, it's 22 years.
Yeah.
22 years of both gynecology and obstetrics. I have given this advice to our patients. If they ask me, I don't ever offer because my dating life was totally horrible too. But my husband's absolutely wonderful, and he's going to give some advice for both men, and I'll give some advice for both women. We hope you find this helpful. If you have your own advice, leave them in the comments below so we can all learn from each other. If you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so and hit that little notification bell so you know when we've uploaded our next video. So let's get started.
Okay, first of all, if you're a man, make sure that you're in tune to your wife or significant other's moods, because if you're trying to have sex with someone that really is not interested at the moment, they can create a lot of difficulties with the relationship. It doesn't mean the relationship is bad, it just means at that moment that sex is just not the right time.
So really, a good partner will know your menstrual cycle because it's just how we're made. Like, women's are just run by their menstrual cycle. He knows when I'm apt to be more horny. He knows when I'm gonna be starting a period, so he's more careful about what he says. And he doesn't say things like, "What's the matter with you?" you know, during PMS time. If you really care about your spouse, really mark on a calendar that they're on their period and just get to know the cycle. You won't have to do it every month. Just, you'll start to get a feel for it. You just knew right away.
Yeah, and it also applies to men as well. Men have bad times during the month. We're worried about stuff and we're not as affectionate, but that time doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the relationship. It just means just not a good time.
And that leads into advice for women, which is, if your significant other is kind of distant, and Jack, well, he always kisses me all over when he sees me. He's like, "I just love you so much." And he kisses me all over. "You're the best thing ever." Well, when we were first married, whenever he wouldn't do that, and he would just kind of be like, "Hi, sweetie." And I'd be like, something's wrong with the relationship. There must be something wrong with the relationship. And I think women tend to dwell on there must be something wrong with the relationship, when
Most of the time, men are just trying to problem solve. I'll be honest, there are times when I become distant because I can't figure out a problem I'm trying to solve. Or like today, I couldn't find my tax receipts, and that was bothering me a lot. So
it's not about us.
Yeah, wasn't about us. It was just, I was distant and I just couldn't get my mind to focus on anything else.
Or they're in pain, like if they have a hip that's hurting or a bad headache, men will just be preoccupied. It's not about us. Second advice for women, and this is going to be an unpopular one, so you'll have to leave them in the comments below. If you are someone who is really dating a really terrific guy, and you just want to move it to the next level, like you want a marriage, you always wanted to be married, you want that man to be your husband, listen carefully. Do not have sex. I know that's not popular, especially nowadays, but
Well, be specific. Not have sex before you're married. Right?
do not have sex before you're married. For men, sex for them is just a function. It's pooping, burping, eating. It does not bring that relationship to another level for them. When they have sex with you, it's not like they love you so much more that they're gonna wanna take it to the next level and marry you. I learned that the hard way. One of my boyfriends I had sex with because he convinced me. And for some reason, 3 months into it, he was like, I don't know why women put so much emphasis on sex. It's just a function. Bingo. So after that, I realized if you're someone that wants that relationship to go to the next level, no matter how much you make out, which is going to come up with another point, don't have sex. Because otherwise, you've just taught that man that that's the level you're comfortable with. You really don't need anything else. And so he's going to live up to that level. You need a man. A man will be a true man if he can live up to the level you expect. But if you already have sex, he thinks, she must be fine with that. Like, I'm fine with it. She was fine with it. It's very hard to get them to that next level. So when I tell my patients you're on a date, everything's wonderful. Your juices start flowing, your vagina gets wet, they're holding your hand, it's usually a nice restaurant, you're usually dressed up, looking your best. Obviously, you're gonna start making out, and I tell people all the time, where's the line? The line means, and I learned this from Jack Dobson, James Dobson. He said you have to know where that line is. That line is the line when your pants are gonna come off. God designed sex to happen after kissing on the breast, kissing below the waist, and it's gonna lead to sex. It's foreplay, pretty much, is making out. So you have to know ahead of the time, before the date starts, where that line is. For me, I know that if anyone kisses me below the neck, or even the neck's getting a little scary, everything's gonna start coming off. You have to know where your line is. Because if you don't, as the date goes on, you're gonna end up having sex because you care about the person. It's a natural response. Like sex is a normal response for bodies. And so that is probably the most unpopular advice I'm gonna give. And the other two are unexpected, but really useful.
Mm-hmm. The next thing to think about too is when you're having sex with your partner, make sure that you're in tune to the things that make them satisfied as well. If it becomes just a one-sided encounter, then it's going to be very unsatisfying to the other person.
And so it's really important to watch your partner and how they react. And so I've never experienced anything but true love from my husband during love making, and that's how it should feel. If it feels any different, where you just feel like a basic FUCK to that person and you could be a hole in the wall, then think to yourself, is this an educational issue that you need to tell your partner that that's how you feel? And if it is, tell them, because not every man is going to be good like he was right from the beginning. So it's worth taking that time. Now, if you approach them and they are really mad at you, or they make you feel guilty, or they accuse you of anything and making you feel bad that you want some satisfaction, then that is not a healthy relationship. So the last thing that I would tell women is, what was the other one? Oh, I remember. But I tell you what, I got this advice out of Cosmo, of all places, and it's the best thing I've ever learned, and we've only got one more advice for women after this, is that don't call your man all the time. Like, if he wants to talk to you, make him call you, make him text you, just like he did when you were dating. And if you're dating, let him initiate. So he needs to always be calling. He always needs to always be texting, because if you're on his mind, he will text you. People randomly butt dial all the time. So if he is not calling you, they're just not into you. I got that from that guy. He used to write that book, He's Just Not Into You. I just can't think of it right now, but I'll link it here whenever I figure it out. The last thing was, if you find that you're losing yourself after many, many years of being in a relationship, step back and figure out what happened. That person was attracted to you in the beginning because you were a certain way. I see this all the time with women, because we get in the role of wife, then we get in the role of being a mother, and then we get in the role of taking care of so many things that we kind of lose the fact that we're pretty awesome, sexy creatures, that we're really sassy to begin with. And so if your husband asks you where you want to eat, and you say, I really don't care, they don't like that. They want the woman that they fell in love with. So be yourself. If you were planning on going to Zumba and then your husband goes, hey, sweetie, let's go out to dinner. If you were dating, you would have been like, oh no, I've got my Zumba class. And you love that because you're independent. Don't give it up and say, okay, let's go, because you are going to start resenting him. If you keep making your husband happy above your own needs, you will start resenting your husband. So stay yourself.
Yeah, that applies to both ways too, for men too.
So we wish you a wonderful Valentine's night. And what's our next topic going to be?
I'm going to do a refresh on SAM-E, SAM-E. It's a supplement that's used to help with inflammation and pain. There's some new information I'm going to be talking about. That's it for today, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
Whoa.